MDPC make this happen.
What's up everybody, welcome to the channel and welcome aboard today's flight. We're going to be operating Delta 795 out of Atlanta Hartsfield and flying down to the Dominican Republic. For today's flight we're using PMDG's 737-800 along with Active Sky Next 2016 for the weather and GSX for ground services. We're getting everything loaded up here and we'll have the aircraft set up and we'll see you guys shortly after we're ready for engine start and taxi. Alright, welcome back everybody. We've got the cockpit pre-flight done and everything is set up for us. APUs are running and everybody's been loaded up, so we are ready for pushback and startup. So we'll go ahead and request that from our ground service. We want nose left, tail right. And go ahead and turn our beacon on. There's the tug moving into place.
Hello, Captain. We're ready for pushback.
I do like how GSX puts in the audible and the message alert as well. Kind of helps you keep track when you're distracted by other things.
Departure check completed. Flight estimate inserted. Relief parking brake.
And we can go ahead and kick the parking brake off.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start that wheel.
We're also using a Madden Sims scenery for Atlanta, so you notice that frame rates are kind of suffering around here. And we also have my traffic in as well. We're pushing out of the international terminal, or the new Foxtrot terminal that they have in Atlanta. And you can see the tower over there. Alright, we're sufficiently far enough back from the gate, so we'll turn fuel pumps on. And we'll go ahead and start engines. Watching our EGTs and N1 and N2 rise up. Oil pressure is also increasing. At 25% N2, we're going to go ahead and gauge the fuel. See fuel in and we have light. Oil pressure is still increasing. N1's now increasing. We're at 55. The ignition cuts off. And oil temperature is now rising. No red indications, look like we have a good start. We're going to go ahead and start number 1 now. into rising, 25. Gonna go ahead and gauge the fuel. Fuel is introduced and we have ignition. Oil pressure rising. And 1 rising. Oil temp coming up. 55, there goes the ignition. And it looks like we have good start on 1. Go ahead and turn off our APU. Let's go ahead and turn our generators on first though.
Set parking brakes.
Ground crew's got us pushed back, so we'll go ahead and set those brakes. Looks good there while they're finishing that. And we'll go ahead and check our flight controls. Looking down at our lower CDU. Elevators look good. Ailerons, left and right, along with rudder. Everything's good there. Go ahead and turn our TCAS system on so ATC can see us. And we'll go ahead and turn traffic on as well. Ready for the departure.
Left is clear. Right is clear.
He's giving us the ground signals, make sure we're all good. He's called left and right clear. As soon as they get out of the way, we will start our taxi. We're going to be going to 27 right out of Atlanta, taxiing via Lima, and then hold point Lima Charlie. We'll bring up the chart so you guys can kind of see that. A bit of a glitch there, had a hard time going back to the gate, thought he was going to hit us. Alright, so he's out of the way. Taxi lights are coming on. Go ahead and kick that brake off. And we'll go ahead and set flaps 5. So flaps 5 indicated on the dial. We're taxiing out, we're just trying to maintain center line here. Come on, taxiway Lima. Go ahead and make that left-hand turn. Right, yep, all clear, right and left. Coming up on the instrument hold point, don't have to worry about that today. And we're not online as well, so we're just going to be using our imagination when it comes to ATC clearances. There's the Delta headquarters over there off to our left. Madden Sim did a very good job with the Atlanta scenery here. And we're coming up on Hull Point Lima Charlie. 427 right. So this next right-hand turn is going to be Lima Charlie. And go ahead and turn our weather radar on. We're going to just pull up here and come to a quick stop. So we do final checks prior to takeoff. Altimeter is set for 3017 based off of weather. Speeds are set 150, 150, 155. We've got V2 plus 10 set 165. Heading set to runway heading 10,000 feet off of max altitude from the departure. We will adjust that to our cruise level 330 after we cross the Macon VOR or upon reaching 10,000 feet. Brakes are set for RTO, flaps are set 5, and we'll go ahead and turn our lights on and get ready for takeoff. So strobes, we'll set constant ignition, and landing lights are on. We'll let the crew know we're about to take off. Everything is good to go. Let's get flying. Checking left. Checking right. Nothing on the display, no one inbound, looking good. Alright, LNAV, VNAV armed. Had to clock. 2002 takeoff time. Engines look good. Set takeoff power. Speed's increasing. Try to maintain center line. 80 knots cross-checked on our backup display. Climb and gear coming up. Gears up, off, and brakes off. Engine's going back to climb 1 power, as we're just trying to maintain our flight bars. A little bit of turbulence out of here on the departure. Get the trim. Coming up on flaps 1 speed, so we'll go ahead and retract to flaps 1. And we're just going to hand fly to departure for now. Crossing 1, we're going to go flaps up. Couple hits on the frame rates there as we're transitioning out of the Atlanta area and it's switching back to standard FSX scenery. And coming up our turn. Or slaw. And passing by rigs. Passing through some clouds now, not seeing anything on the weather radar, should be alright. Going up on 10,000. Go ahead and set 330. For our cruise altitude. As we cross 10,000, we'll go ahead and throw the autopilot on. That's the way we can clean up the aircraft and get prepared for cruise. Alright, autopilot coming on. Command selected. Alright, lights can come off. Set ignition to flight. Those are all good. Seatbelts can go to auto. Allow our flight attendants to move about the cabin, get ready for meal and beverage service. Good down here. Flaps up, brakes off, gear up and off. Alright, cruise checks look good. Airplane's still flying pre-programmed route per the FMS. Alright folks, well, once we get up to cruise, we'll check back in and update you on the status of the flight. Alright folks, welcome back. We've reached our cruise altitude of 33,000 feet. We are all set to go in our rest of our flight down to the Dominican Republic. We're just now crossing the Florida-Georgia borderline. You can kind of see the barrier islands off there to the coast of Georgia. And if we look down that way, you can kind of see the stretch of the Florida Peninsula. It does look like we have somewhat of a cell in front of us. You can kind of visually see it right here, and as well as down here on our weather display. We'll be avoiding that. It's still about 40 miles out, so we're not too worried about it. On our progress page here, it looks like we got about another 2.5 hours of flight time remaining. So we'll continue our cruise down, and I'll have you guys join us right before we start our top of descent. Weather looks good along the rest of the route, and should be a nice smooth landing into the Dominican Republic. We'll see you then. Alright, welcome back guys. We're getting ready to start our descent here into the Dominican Republic. Go ahead and we'll set our first crossing restriction. It's going to be 16,000 at or above. So we'll go ahead and set 16. Let's go ahead and try to pick up the weather. Just double check it. Make sure there's not going to be any major changes.
Mike, Delta, Papa, Charlie, airport information, Echo 0300, Zulu, weather, wind, calm, caution, wind shear alert, 8 miles north-northwest of Mike, Delta, Papa, Charlie, visibility 10, sky condition, few clouds at 1,600, ceiling 10,000, broken, moderate rain, thunderstorms in the vicinity, temperature 2.23, QNH 1018, advise on initial contact, you have information, Echo, Mike, Delta, Papa.
Alright, we got information Echo. And like I said, on the inbound here, we do have some thunderstorms we gotta watch out for. You can kind of see them there on the display. As we go through that layer right there, you can kind of see some lightning off in the distance. So it'll just be something we have to be cautious about. We've kept the seatbelt sign on for the majority of the flight over. We were dodging some thunderstorms en route as well. And that, we are in the descent into that first crossing restriction. Go ahead and set 1018 on the QNH for when we cross 18,000. And let's double check here. Let's see. Pressurization landing altitude is set for 1,050 feet, field elevation. Anti-ice, we'll leave it in auto for now. Approach briefing, we're going to do the RNAV for runway 09 into the Dominican Republic. And airspeed and altitude bugs. So looking at our fuel burn right now, 0.95, call it a 1.0. Fuel flow rate 2,000 total. Let's knock 2,000 off, so we'll do 4.8 expected gross weight at around landing. Set flaps, actually. Looking at the field here. 10,000 foot runway. Yep, that checks with what we got. 10,171 feet, 3,100 meters. And set flaps 30. I don't have any of the fancy performance calculators that some other people utilize, or the Boeing onboard performance tool, unfortunately. So this is kind of just all guesswork, and we just hope for the best. We'll go ahead and set brakes 3. Just because of the rain, the runway may be wet. Our next crossing restriction is going to be Pixar at 15,000 at or above, and barrel at 12,000 at or above. Should be picking up the VOR by now. Kind of surprised why we don't have the Punta Cana VOR yet. We're at plus 11, so we don't have to worry about icing anymore. We're out of the danger zone for icing anyways, I should put it. Still got window heat and pitot heats on. And some flashes of lightning in the cockpit here. Coming up on our transition altitude, we'll get ready to set 1018 QNH. That way we'll be adjusted at field level. So who's all excited for the new Microsoft Flight Simulator that they've announced about last month? Leave a comment what you think it's going to be like, what you hope for, and what you think Microsoft will actually is going to provide us. I know a lot of people have been kind of mixed feelings about it after Microsoft's last failed release of Microsoft Flight. So just leave a comment and let us know what you think about that new flight simulator. We're making a turn here at Bitter. So we can go ahead and set our next crossing restriction 150. And we're being expected to hold 230 knots indicated. Even though there are major storms in and around the airfield, it's still looking like visibility is good according to the weather station. now we're over Pixar, so we can go ahead and set 12 for the next restriction. And crossing 18, we can go ahead and set our 1018 on the QNH. Just that. Sun's starting to set. Go ahead and turn up some of the panel lights here. That way we got a better view. I'm going to put out just a little bit of speed brake. Like descent path is unachievable, so we'll acknowledge that. So we got some speed brake in to kind of help us maintain it as much as possible. And here at the Dominican Republic, there is some terrain just to the northwest, which is the end we're approaching from. So we've got terrain brought up on the first officer's side panel. Just kind of keep maintaining some SA on that while we're trying to watch and avoid the majority of these storms as well. The weather over San Juan, which is our alternate, is pretty benign, so make an attempt pass here. And then if weather seems just a little bit too bad, we'll go ahead and head to our alternate over at San Juan. We're finally starting to catch back up with our descent path marker. Got those storms off to our left. You can kind of see the building clouds and everything. I think Active Sky does a great job of simulating the actual weather in and around airfields. There we go. Finally do have that VOR. So now we are 37 miles from the VOR. And you see that we got it set up on course for the runway 09. So we can actually use that as somewhat of an extended center line. And because of the storm today, I'm going to let autopilot handle most of the descent and approach into the field. And then that way I can monitor the rest of the systems, making sure we're still on path. Alright, looking good on the glide path. We'll go ahead and retract our speed brakes. You can kind of see some of that mountainous terrain we were talking about earlier off to our left here. 12,000, we can go ahead and take it down to 3. Or 1,000 above 12 there. And we'll take it down to 3,000. and 3000 is the MSA for an approach from this end of the airfield. Crossing over the top of Barrel, right at our scheduled altitude, 12,100. We're getting a little fast there. Engine's caught us back up too much, so we're going to have to throw the brakes out again. Should start to get some of that turbulence. And crossing 10,000, so we'll go ahead and throw our lights back on. Back to continuous ignition. And wing lights, and we'll go ahead and turn logo lights on as well, just because we'll be in the clouds. Rapidly getting behind in our descent here, and I'm guessing most of that's due to the updrafts. Really not preventing us to descend here. We might actually have to take over. Oops, there we go. Just to kind of get it in the right direction here. Unfortunately, the 737 is one of those aircraft, if you get behind on managing the energy, you're going to be in a world of trouble, so you might see how this turns out. There's the rain, starting to see it go past. And some updrafts and downdrafts. See our descent's kicking up to about 4,000 now. You can definitely see how these storms are kind of affecting our descent performance here and the turbulence we're experiencing from them. Fortunately, although we're not flying directly through these cells, we're definitely getting the adverse effects just by flying close enough to them. Gonna make our check turn here. Past Dabso, and then make the dogleg left back to the final approach fix. Nice shot of lightning there. Show up on about a 10-mile final. Go ahead and get configured here for landing. And I'm going to go ahead and take control here. Do have the runway in sight, so we'll go ahead and descend past the minimum safe altitude. Try to correct this heading here. And even as you can see, even with a gear down and a 9-knot headwind, this airplane really just does not want to slow down. So at 1,000 feet, we are not on a good stable approach. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and call go around. I'm going to arrest the descent here. We're going to hold this attitude. Maintain length of runway heading. I'm just keeping it in close type pattern. We'll keep getting reconfigured for landing. Go ahead and bring the gear up. And with storms more to our right, we'll actually go ahead and make a left-hand pattern here. Get set back up for downwind. And we'll set speed bugs for flaps 10. We're not going to go ahead and fly the published miss approach just because for today's purpose of this video we really don't have time. That's why we're just keeping it in close pattern. Trying to maintain about 1,500 feet. We'll bug for flaps 15. Alright, recheck everything for landing. Lights are good. Gears up, and we'll go ahead and set it to off for now. Brakes are still set to 3. Speed brakes are armed. Flaps are set 15. We'll continue our downwind, and as we get reestablished, we'll finish up, clean up anything, and get ready for landing. Definitely get knocked around a lot by some turbulence. Looks like we got one other airplane on final right now. To our left, can't really see them, must be in those clouds right there. So we'll just cut in behind them basically. There he goes, he's about 5 miles. Let's turn in. A little too steep there. Definitely get knocked around. Alright, we're within 5 miles, so we'll go ahead and reset. Gear down. Up to 25. Up to 30. Bug for reference. Get line back up here on center line. right around that 3-degree glide slope. Two reds, two whites. Looking good on reference. Gears down, brakes good. Auto brakes set, speed brakes armed. Over the piano keys. Floated it a little bit. And retract sprue brakes. Turn auto brakes off. Turn up, and let's go ahead and clean up their crap. So flaps up. Landing lights off. Strobes off. Ignition set to off. And go ahead. Fire the APU. Flaps are retracting. Flight director's off. Set to 100. This Condor pulling in. You can tell this is very basic scenery for the DR. And we'll just pick the spot right next to him. Alright folks, that's going to do it for today's episode. Hope you guys liked it. If you did, go ahead and leave us a like and a comment. Let me know what you'd like to see, or if there's any specific routes you'd like to watch me fly, or anything else. If you guys are interested, we might start streaming. Just give me some comments, some suggestions, and yeah, so hopefully we'll see you guys on the next video. Take care. Have a good one.